Marcus Reed wiped the sweat from his forehead as he walked down the metal hallway of Star Station. Cora 7. He was just a human engineer, hired to fix the cooling systems on this strange alien spaceport. Everything looked the same: gray walls, blinking lights, doors with alien markings. Room 1 for A. Or was it for 1A? He mumbled, holding his small toolkit in one hand. The data pad in his other hand was blinking red. The station's central core was overheating. If he didn't fix the coolant regulator in time, half the station would shut down. He turned left, then right, then left again. The corridors twisted like a maze. Azarnari didn't use numbers like humans. Their symbols looked like claws and spears. He was lost. Then he saw a door that had the same symbol from his work order almost. That must be it. Right, Marcus said. Stepping forward, the door slid open with a soft hiss. Steam rolled out into the hall. Before he could speak, Marcus saw something he didn't expect: a tall, scaled figure standing in the mist. She was drying herself with a towel. Her armor was folded neatly on the bench beside her. Her tail flicked once in surprise. Marcus froze. So did she. It was Captain Velithrex, leader of the Zarnari Guard on Cora 7, over 6 feet tall, golden reptilian. Skin, sharp yellow eyes, and clearly not wearing anything. Her eyes locked onto his. For 3 seconds, nobody moved. Then Marcus shouted, I'm sorry, wrong room," and slammed the door shut. He backed away, bumping into the wall. His face turned red, his heart beat fast. Oh no, oh no. That was the captain, naked. Oh no. He turned and ran, but it was too late. A deep voice behind the door growled, "Human, you saw my sacred form?" Marcus didn't wait. He ran faster, then dash boom. The door burst open. Captain Vila stepped out, wearing only her belt, now holding a sleek, glowing plasma rifle. Her sharp teeth were bared. "You dare insult my honor?" she roared. Every alien in the hallway turned to look. Marcus put up his hands. "It was a mistake. I swear. I thought it was the engine room." Vela pointed the rifle at him. "You have committed a grave crime. Among my people, this is a challenge." "I didn't mean to challenge anything," Marcus shouted, "especially not you." She didn't fire. Instead, she pressed a button on her wristband. Moments later, Zarnari guards surrounded Marcus with electric batons. "Take him to the honor chamber," Vela said coldly. "He will face judgment." Marcus sat in a glowing blue energy cage, inside a round room with stone walls and golden torches. It felt more like a temple than a courtroom. He had been given a translator pin. It buzzed lightly in his ear as Zarnari judges spoke in their native tongue. Captain Vela stood nearby, now fully armored, her tail swaying with quiet fury. A judge turned to Marcus. "Human, you have seen what is not meant to be seen. Have insulted the honor of a Zarnari warrior? Do you accept combat, or do you choose union?" "Wait, what?" Marcus blinked. "Combat, like ... a fight." "Correct," the judge said. "What?" "To the death. You may use one blade or one blaster." Marcus gulped. "And the other option?" "Marriage," the judge said simply. "To restore her honor, you must bond with her under Zarnari tradition." Marcus stared at them. He looked at Vela. She looked back, angry but silent. He turned to the judge again. "So either I die, or I marry the very angry lady with the plasma rifle?" "That is correct." Marcus scratched his head. "I mean, ... she's very tall, ... and terrifying. But dying sounds worse." The judge nodded. "You choose union?" "I guess so." There was a long silence. Then Vela spoke. "I accept his choice, but he will not enjoy it." That evening, Marcus was placed in guest quarters, still under guard. His clothes had been replaced with ceremonial robes. He looked at his reflection in the mirror and sighed. "What have I gotten myself into?" he whispered. The door opened. Vela stepped in, still in her armor. She placed her rifle on the table and crossed her arms. "We marry tomorrow," she said. Double quotes right. "I figured," Marcus replied, nervous. She narrowed her eyes. "You dishonored me. In Zarnari culture, Only bonded mates may see what you saw. And yet, ... You made no move. You fled like prey. I wasn't trying to dishonor you, Marcus said. I was trying not to die of embarrassment. Vela stared at him, and slowly her mouth curved in the tiniest grin. You are strange. But honest? He smiled weakly. So, ... After we get married, are you still going to kill me? Only during training, she said. Then she left. The next day came too fast for Marcus Reed. He stood in front of a tall mirror, dressed in heavy Zarnari armor that didn't fit quite right. The chest plate was too big. The boots were like steel buckets, could barely move. 2 Zarnari guards checked his gear without speaking. They looked serious. It's too serious. Marcus took a deep breath. So, this is it. I'm really getting married to a warrior alien in front of her whole planet. A guard grunted. Speak less. Stand straight. Do not drop the rifle during the ceremony. Marcus glanced at the ceremonial plasma rifle in his hand. It was polished silver, glowing slightly with blue energy. It was heavier than he expected, the other guard added. If you misfire, it is seen as a sign of weakness. Good to know, Marcus said, wiping sweat from his forehead in the center of the Zarnari Council Hall. Thousands of aliens watched from tiered seats. The walls were decorated with red banners, sharp symbols, and glowing crystal torches. A wide stone circle marked the sacred space in the middle. There, Captain Vila Threx stood tall and calm, her armor now covered with gold trims. A small blade was attached to her hip. Her long tail moved slowly from side to side. She was beautiful in a dangerous way, like a storm hiding behind calm clouds. The high priest stepped forward. He was old, with faded green scales and deep yellow eyes. Today, he announced, the 2 bloodlines meet, one of strength, one of cleverness. By the law of honor, they must now bond or break. Marcus was guided into the circle. The crowd went silent. He faced Vela. She didn't smile. Do you? Marcus of Earth, accept this bond, knowing it may lead to fire, blood, or unity. Marcus blinked. Yes. The crowd murmured, Do you, Vela, of Clan Threx, accept this human to restore your honor? Vela nodded once. I accept. The high priest raised both hands. Let the rifle bond begin. Lifted their plasma rifles. They pointed the weapons not at the sky, not at the air, but at each other. Marcus gulped. It's tradition, Vela said softly. It shows we trust one another not to fire. Right. Trust, Marcus muttered. For 5 long seconds, they stood like statues. Then the priest shouted, Fire! Both rifles swung up to the sky and blasted twin beams of blue energy into the air. The crowd cheered. Zarnari drums began to beat. Warriors pounded their spears to the floor. It was done. They were now bonded by law. Later, at the feast hall, Marcus sat at a long table beside Vela. Strange dishes filled the space meat cooked in glowing oil, round fruits that hissed when bitten, and drinks that steamed in metal cups. Vela didn't say much. Marcus picked at his plate. So, ... Do we go on a honeymoon? Or do I just get thrown into a pit for training now? Vela looked at him. We return to duty. My ship departs at sunrise, Great Marcus said with a small smile. For a marriage forced by... Accident. This isn't the worst day of my life. Vela raised a brow. Then your past must be truly strange. It's Earth. Everything's strange, he said. Just then, a Zarnari messenger rushed in. He whispered something to Vela, her eyes narrowed. She stood up. There's been an attack. Pirates raided our supply convoy near Secta Yara. Pirates, Marcus asked. Standing with her, they took hostages. My ship must respond immediately. Marcus followed her out of the hall. I guess this is our honeymoon, he joked. Vela didn't laugh, but she didn't look angry either. By the next morning, Marcus found himself aboard the ZS Talonfang, a Zarnari battlecruiser shaped like a curved blade. Vela stood at the command bridge, barking orders to her crew. Marcus stayed near the engineering panel, watching carefully. He had been given a place as honor mate technician, a role made up just for him. Suddenly, the radar flashed red. Enemy. Ship incoming, one officer said. Vila's eyes burned. Prepare for contact. The pirate ship appeared fast and sharp, covered in black paint and strange symbols. Lasers fired. The Talonfang shook under impact. We're outnumbered, someone shouted. Marcus looked at the readouts. They're targeting your cooling cores. If those go, the ship shuts down. Vila's voice was calm. Suggestions human? Marcus cracked his knuckles. I've got an idea. Buy me 2 minutes. He rushed to the lower deck, pulled open a panel, and began rewiring the coolant relays. Sparks flew. He rose fast. He grabbed a frozen gel pack from emergency storage and slapped it onto the power lines. Then he rerouted the energy into the backup thrusters. Done. He yelled into the cum. On the bridge. Vila activated the system. The Talonfang suddenly jolted forward and spun, slamming its side into the pirate ship's engine pod. The enemy ship drifted, smoking, direct hit. Someone cried. The pirates tried to escape, but Zarnari cannons blasted their engines. They surrendered. Cheers filled the bridge. Vela turned to Marcus. For the first time, she gave him a look of real respect. You are more useful than I thought. Marcus smiled. Praise from my wife. Vela almost smiled back. Almost that night, in her quarters, she offered him a small blade in a black sheath. What's this? Marcus asked. A bonding gift, she said. You proved yourself. You are not just my duty anymore. Marcus held the blade carefully. So, you like me now? She looked him in the eye. I tolerate you, he chuckled. Close enough. She turned away, her tail brushed lightly against his arm. Marcus Reed stood at the edge of the ancient Zarnari stone platform. Around him, dozens of Zarnari warriors watched in silence. Their armor sparkled under the twin suns of the Zarnari homeworld. A cold wind blew across the high cliffs. Below, the valley stretched wide, filled with sharp red rocks and glowing plants. This was no normal wedding. This was a rifle wedding. Captain Vela Threx stood across from him, tall and proud in her ceremonial battle robes. Her golden scales shimmered under the sunlight. Her long rifle rested across her back. Her yellow eyes locked onto Marcus like she was reading his soul. He shifted uncomfortably in his stiff armor. The heavy blaster rifle in his hands shook slightly.
Remind me again why we're doing this?
Again, he whispered. Bella didn't blink. The first bond was legal. One is real. Zarnari law demands a full public ritual. In front of the clans, Marcus looked at the high priest standing between them. He held a staff tipped with fire. Great, so if I mess this up, do I still get to sleep in your ship's storage room? No, Vela said. You will sleep under the ground. Straightened his back. Right, no pressure. The high priest raised the fire staff. Warriors of Clan Threx and honored guests, he spoke in a deep voice. Today, we witness a true bond born in fire, tested by battle and now sealed by trust.
Ow.
Drums began to beat too. 2 young Zarnari walked forward, each carrying a pair of polished rifles. They handed one to Vela and one to Marcus. The priest continued, These weapons are the heart of this bond. To warriors, to lives, aim steady, speak true. Vela took her rifle and held it with ease.
Ike.
Marcus and Vila lifted their rifles and pointed them directly at each other's chest. Marcus swallowed hard. Still not over how weird this is. Vela didn't smile. Good, it means you respect it. And the priest said the words that made Marcus's heart stop. Now, fire. Marcus's hands jerked, but he remembered what to do. At the last second, both rifles shot high into the sky. Blue energy beams screamed into the clouds. The crowd erupted into cheers. Zarnari warriors slammed their spears into the stone. Others fired their own weapons into the air. A deep horn echoed across the cliffs. The priest smiled. The bond is complete. Vela lowered her rifle slowly. Her face stayed calm, but something in her eyes had changed. Maybe it was pride, or something warmer. Marcus exhaled. I'm not dead. That's a win. You did not embarrass me, Vila said softly. That is also a win. Later, the feast began in the great hall of Threk's fortress, Longstone. Tables were filled with food. Glowing red meat, fried insect wings, tall mugs of fizzing drinks, loud music played from horn-like instruments. Warriors told battle stories and young ones danced with spears. Marcus sat beside Vela at the high table. She had removed her outer armor, but still wore her ceremonial sash. He poked at a plate of steaming green noodles. "So, now that we're officially married in front of your entire people, does this mean I get, like, a house key?" Vela didn't answer immediately. Then she said, "You get access to the weapons room." He raised an eyebrow. "Romantic. You earned it," she said. "You fought beside me. You fixed the ship. You risked your life." Marcus shrugged. "I guess we're stuck together. Might as well make the most of it." Vela sipped her drink. "You still smell strange. I'm human." We sweat. We sat in silence for a while. Then a Zarnari elder approached. His back was bent, and his scales were faded white. He looked at Marcus. "You are small, soft, weak arms. But you saved my niece's life, so I accept you." Marcus smiled politely. "Thanks. I think." The elder walked away. Marcus leaned toward Vela. "That was your uncle?" She nodded. "One of many. He likes it. I'd hate to see what it looks like when he doesn't." Just then, an alert sounded through the hall. Zarnari warrior rushed in and whispered to Vela. She stood up quickly. Marcus followed her. "What is it?" he asked. An unauthorized ship landed near the southern valley. No signal. No contact. Marcus frowned. "Pirates again?" Ella growled low. "Maybe we go now." Minutes later, a Zarnari dropship raced over the rocky plains. Vela stood beside Marcus, holding her plasma rifle tight. Her eyes were sharp. "Stay behind me," she said. "I'm not afraid," Marcus said. "I know," she replied, "but you're still small." They landed near a black ship that had crashed into the ground.
Oh, nice.
Smoke rose from its side. 3 figures ran from the wreckage, humanoid, but armored in strange suits. One of them aimed a blaster. Vela rolled forward and fired. The enemy dropped. Marcus grabbed a fallen energy rod and used it to short out another's weapon. The last one ran, but Vela caught them with a stun bolt. After the dust cleared, they stood over the fallen invaders. Vela scanned the bodies. Not pirates, mercenaries, paid by someone. Marcus bent down. "Look at this symbol." It was a small badge shaped like a skull with 2 claws. Vela hissed. "The Warborn Circle, enemies of peace." Marcus felt a chill. "They knew about the wedding. They tried to stop it." Vela nodded slowly. "This was not just a fight. This was a message." That night, back on the Talonfang, Marcus sat quietly beside Vela in her quarters. The stars shined outside the window. He looked at her and said, "You think they'll come again?" "Yes," she said. "And next time, they'll bring more." Marcus reached for the ceremonial blade she had given him earlier. He held it tight. "Well then," he said, "I guess it's time we start acting like a real team." Vela looked at him for a long moment. Then, for the first time, she smiled. "A strange team," she said. The Zarnari ship Talonfang floated in space above a blue gas giant. Inside, the crew moved quickly. The mood had changed. Everyone knew danger was coming. Marcus Reed sat at a console in the ship's lower tech bay. Tools and wires were spread. Across the table, he adjusted the ship's energy lines, connecting new sensors to the outer hull. His fingers moved fast, but his mind was full of questions. The Warborn Circle, a secret group of mercenaries, had tried to stop his wedding with Captain Vela Threx. That meant someone didn't want peace between humans and the Zarnari. Someone powerful. "Why attack now?" he whispered. "What are they planning?" Footsteps echoed behind him. It was Vela. She still wore her battle armor, but her helmet was off. Her golden scales reflected the light. "They attacked the western outpost last night," she said. 12 warriors injured. 1 is missing. Marcus stood up. "Warburn." Again Vela nodded. Same symbol, same weapons. But this time, they took something. Marcus's eyes narrowed. What did they steal? An ancient Zernari artifact, Vila said. A firestone. It's just a symbol of leadership.
Ow.
To the Warburn. It could be used to start a rebellion. Great, Marcus said. They're trying to spark a war, yes, Vela replied. And they're targeting us because we stand in the way. Later on the command bridge, Vela addressed her crew. The screen showed a map of nearby space. Systems. A red dot blinked near the edge. This is their hideout, she said. An old mining base in the Osca Belt. Marcus leaned in. Looks like a trap. Of course it is, Vela said. But we go anyway. We take back what is ours. The crew shouted in agreement. The Talonfang changed course and jumped to light speed. When they arrived at the Osca Belt, the ship slowed. Large asteroids floated everywhere. Sharp rocks spun through the cold, dark space. Marcus looked out the window. I've got a bad feeling. Vela smiled slightly. Good. That means you're learning. As they approached the base, red lights blinked on the radar. Enemy ships incoming, shouted a Zarnari pilot. Shields up, Vela ordered. Charge weapons. 2 warborn ships came out from behind an asteroid. They opened fire. Lasers flashed across the sky. The Talonfang shook from impact. Marcus grabbed a handrail. We need to disable them fast. I have a plan, Vela said, but it's risky. She looked at Marcus. Can you get into their ship's system? Marcus nodded. Give me access to their signal, I'll try. He ran to the control panel and started typing. Lights blinked. Data flowed. I've got it, he shouted. Their heat shields are weak. We fire at the lower engines, do it, Vela ordered. The Talonfang fired a burst of blue energy. 1 warborn ship exploded. The other turned to escape, but was hit by another blast. It drifted, smoking. Direct. Hit, the pilot said. Vila's voice was firm. Prepare to board the base. Inside the mining base, it was dark and cold. Broken machines lined the walls. Pipes hissed with steam. Vila led the way, rifle in hand. Marcus followed close behind. His small blaster ready, they moved through metal corridors, step by step. Suddenly, bang. Blaster fire came from above. Warborn soldiers dropped from the ceiling, shouting in alien tongues. Vela dove forward, rolling and firing. She hit 2 enemies before they landed. Marcus ducked behind a crate, aimed carefully, and shot one in the leg. Another charged at him, but Marcus used a flash grenade he made earlier. Light burst through the hall. The enemy fell back, blinded. After a few minutes, the fight was over. Vela checked the hallway. Clear. Marcus stood up, heart racing. We're getting better at this, she nodded. You didn't hide this time, he smiled. I'm trying not to die. In the center of the base, they found the stolen artifact. It sat on a golden stand, glowing softly. Strange writing covered the walls. Marcus walked up to it. That's the Firestone? Yes, Vela said. It was once held by the first Zarnari leader. It's a symbol of unity, or war. Then we're taking it back, Marcus said. Then a door slammed open. A tall, war-born commander stepped in. His armor was black and red, and his voice was cold. You ruined our plans, he growled. That bond between human and Zarnari was a mistake. Vela stepped forward. You fear peace because it ends your power, he raised his blaster. Then peace dies with you. But Marcus was faster. He hit a button on his belt, small drone. Zipped out and fired a stun blast at the commander. The warborn dropped his weapon, shocked. Vela moved in and knocked him out with one punch. Marcus grinned. Told you gadgets were useful? Vela stared at him for a moment. You surprised me? Again. Back on the Talonfang, the crew cheered as the Firestone was returned to its case. Vela stood before her warriors. This bond between human and Zarnari is not weakness. It is our strength. They clapped their fists to their chests in salute. Later in her quarters, Vila placed the Firestone on a shelf. She turned to Marcus. You were brave today. Marcus shrugged. Just trying to impress my wife. You already have. They sat together in silence for a while. Then Vila said, the Warborn will return, stronger. Marcus nodded. Then, so will we. She looked at him with steady eyes. Together. He smiled. Always. To be continued in Part 5, The Warborn Conspiracy. The Talonfang floated silently in space, its engines quiet for the first time in days. The crew was recovering from the last fight, but there was no time to rest. Vela stood in the command room, staring at the stars outside. She had a feeling. Bad one. The Warborn wouldn't stop. Marcus Reed, still adjusting to his role aboard the ship, walked in with a datapad in his hand. He tapped a few buttons and frowned. "We've got new intel." Vela turned to him, her eyes sharp. "Is it more Warborn activity?" Marcus said. "This time, it's not just a raid. They're planning something bigger. They've begun gathering resources on a nearby moon hidden deep in the Kellian sector." "The Kellian sector?" Vela's voice was steady but concerned. "That's the last place we expected them to go." "I know," Marcus said. "But their pattern suggests they're building an army." Vela's eyes narrowed. "And they'll use it against the Alliance. Or against us." "I think it's both," Marcus said. She turned to the crew standing behind her. "Prepare. For a course change, we're going to Kellian." It didn't take long for the Talonfang to reach the Kellian sector. The ship dropped out of light speed and into the shadow of a distant moon. The surface was covered in thick clouds, hiding whatever the Warburn were up to. Vela stood at the helm, her grip tight on the controls. "We're entering the atmosphere now. I want full scans of the surface, no mistakes." The ship's scanners hummed to life, and the screen in front of them lit up with images of the rocky moon's surface. "I see something." One of the officers called out. "A large structure? It's well hidden. They built it inside a canyon." Vela looked at Marcus. "It's a base. It's where they're planning their attack." Marcus nodded. "We need to get there fast before they finish whatever they're building." "Agreed." Full speed ahead, Vela ordered. The Talonfang's engines roared as they descended toward the canyon. As they got closer, the base came into clearer view, massive, dark, and ominous, like a scar on the moon's surface. The Warburn had clearly been working here for a long time. The ship landed near the canyon's edge. Vela, Marcus, and a team of Zarnari warriors prepared to go on foot. The air was thin, and the ground was rough. The smell of burnt metal and sulfur hung in the air. They put on their helmets and stepped outside. Vela led the way, rifle in hand, her eyes scanning the area for movement. The others followed close behind. Marcus felt the weight of his blaster on his side. He wasn't used to this kind of tension. He was used to fixing things, not fighting wars. As they neared the entrance of the base, the sound of heavy machinery echoed from within. Vela motioned for them to stop. "Stay quiet. We don't know how many Warborn are inside." Marcus nodded, trying to keep his breathing steady. His heart was racing, but he wasn't about to let Vela down now. They crept forward, staying close to the rocks. The entrance to the base was guarded, but it didn't take long for Vela to take out the two sentries. They were swift, silent, and deadly just, like Zarnari warriors should be. Once inside, the group split up to search for the Warborn's main control room. The base was dark, with only the red glow of emergency lights illuminating the corridors. The walls were covered in alien symbols that Marcus couldn't understand. Vela stopped in front of a door, scanning it with her datapad. "This is it. The control room is on the other side." They prepared for what was to come, knowing that the Warborn were likely waiting for them. Vela motioned for Marcus to take the lead. Marcus stepped forward, carefully opening the door. Dozens of Warborn soldiers stood, working on various consoles. They didn't notice the group at first. Vela gave a sharp signal, and the team moved in. Blaster fire erupted. Vela's rifle spit out energy bolts as she took down two soldiers with precision shots. Marcus followed, firing at the nearest target. His blaster didn't pack the punch of Vela's rifle, but it was enough to make the Warborn take cover. "Clear the room," Vela shouted. Marcus ducked behind a console as more Warborn soldiers charged. He shot one in the leg, but another came at him swinging a large blade. Marcus barely dodged in time, but the blade sliced through his armor. "Not today." Marcus muttered. He grabbed a nearby energy rod and jammed it into the Warborn's side, sending a shock through their armor. Da-da-da-da. The soldier fell, twitching. Vela was already moving to the control panel. She was too fast for the Warborn to react. She hacked into their system, shutting down their communications and cutting off their backup reinforcements. Done, she said, stepping back, but then the ground shook. The walls of the base cracked as a loud rumbling sound filled the air. The Warborn's weapon wasn't just a small base, it was a weapon of mass destruction. They were building a planet destroyer, Marcus said, his voice filled with disbelief. Vela's eyes went wide. Not just a weapon. A bomb. Marcus turned toward the door, his mind racing. We need to get out of here now. Vela nodded. We've done enough damage. Let's go. The team made their way back to the Talonfang. The ground shook again as they boarded the ship. The Warborn had set off a chain reaction inside the base, and the entire structure was collapsing. We've got minutes before this whole moon goes up in flames, Vela said, her voice tight. Marcus activated the engines. The ship blasted off into the sky just as the base erupted in a massive explosion, sending debris flying in every direction. We're not done yet, Vela said. This was just the first strike. The Warborn won't stop. Marcus nodded. Then we'll be ready. The Talonfang raced through space, the stars a blur as they left the shattered remains of the Warborn base behind. Vela stood at the helm, her expression stern, her hands gripping the controls. Marcus stood beside her, his mind still processing everything that had happened. The Warborn had attacked again, but this time they'd nearly succeeded in their plan to destroy the alliance between humans and Zarnari. The weapon they were building it was too close to being finished. We can't let this happen again, Marcus said quietly. Vela didn't answer right away. She stared out into the vast expanse of space, her sharp eyes focused. They won't stop, she said finally. Not unless we show them we're ready to fight back. Marcus glanced at her. And we will fight back, right? Vela turned. To him, her eyes softening for a moment. Yes, but not with anger. With strategy. With unity. Unity, Marcus repeated, the word weighing heavily on his mind. It was more than just a partnership between two species. It was something that could change the fate of the galaxy. The quiet was broken by the sound of a communication ping. Vela tapped the console, her face hardening. It was an encrypted message. From the Zarnari High Command, put it through, Vela ordered. The screen flickered to life, revealing a stern-faced Zarnari commander. Captain Threx, we've received word of Warborn forces mobilizing in the Tickle system. We need you and your crew to intercept them before they can launch a full-scale assault. Vela's eyes narrowed. Understood. We'll head there immediately. Turned to Marcus. Get ready. We're going to war. Hours later, the Talonfang entered the Tickle system. The space around them was calm, almost eerily so, as they approached a giant asteroid field. Vela stood at the command center, her mind already working on the strategy. Marcus sat beside her, feeling a sense of anticipation building in his chest. He wasn't an experienced fighter, but he had proven himself before, and he would prove himself again. We've got multiple Warburn ships ahead, one of the officers reported. It looks like they're preparing to attack a nearby station. Vela's eyes glinted. They think they can surprise us. They're wrong. Marcus felt the tension rise as the Talonfang approached the Warborn fleet. The enemy ships were clustered together, seemingly unaware of the Zarnari ship's approach. The time to strike was now. Shields up. Prepare for attack, Vela commanded. Ship's weapons systems powered up, and Marcus felt his heart race. It was time for action. He glanced at Vela, who was focused entirely on the task at hand. She was a natural leader, calm under pressure, and that steadied him. The first Warborn ship fired a barrage of lasers at them, but Vela had anticipated it. She steered the Talonfang sharply to the left, avoiding the shots. Then, with a quick command, she fired back, sending a volley of plasma. Shots at the Warborn ship. Direct hit, an officer called out. The enemy ship exploded in a burst of light. Marcus's hands clenched around the armrest. Nice shot. Vela didn't look at him, her eyes already scanning the next target. Keep your focus. There are more. The battle raged for what felt like hours. Talon Fong danced through space, weaving and dodging enemy fire as they destroyed ship after ship. The Warborn were fierce fighters, but the Zarnari had the advantage. Vela's crew knew how to fight together. They moved as one, with precision and skill. Marcus found himself in the heat of it, moving quickly to assist wherever he could. He fired his blaster at any Warborn who got too close, using everything he had learned over the past few months. Wasn't much, but it was enough to keep him in the fight. At one point, he found himself side by side with Vela, firing at an enemy ship. Her rifle was in her hands, and her eyes were fixed on the target. Stay close, Vela ordered, her voice low but clear. I'm right here, Marcus replied. They moved together, firing in sync, taking down the last of the Warborn ships. The remaining enemies were forced to retreat, and the battlefield was silent once more. After the fight, Viola stood on the bridge, looking out at the wreckage of the Warborn fleet. Marcus joined her, feeling the weight of the battle settle in his. Bones, we did it, Marcus said quietly. Vela turned to him, her expression unreadable. We did. But this war isn't over. The Warborn are still out there, and they won't stop unless we stop them. Marcus nodded. He understood now. This was bigger than just one battle. It was about the future of their people, the survival of their alliance. They couldn't let the Warborn win. We'll keep fighting, Marcus said. Together. Vela's lips curved into a small smile. Yes, together. Later that evening, the crew of the Talon Fong gathered in the ship's mess hall for a celebration. The battle was over, and they had won thanks to their teamwork, their courage, and their unity. Marcus sat at the table, surrounded by Zarnari warriors, most of whom had never seen a human before. They were loud, boisterous, but there was a sense of respect in their voices now. They had fought beside Marcus, and they had seen him stand strong. Vela walked in, her gaze finding Marcus immediately. She nodded to him in approval. Marcus stood and raised his glass, to peace, to unity, and to the people who fight for it. The room fell silent for a moment, and then everyone raised their glasses in salute. To peace, Vela said, her voice. Strong Marcus smiled and sat back down. For the first time since this strange journey began, he felt like he truly belonged. He wasn't just the human who accidentally saw a Zarnari captain naked. He was part of something bigger now, something that could change the galaxy. And as the music played and the laughter filled the room, Marcus looked over at Vela. She met his gaze and nodded. Together, they would face whatever came next. Together, they would fight. And together, they would win.